Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, yeah, Auburn's problem, and they're not about to turn their problem into Tennessee's problem, which could happen if we're just not a little bit careful. Now, Hugh has been having a tough time down there at Auburn. Recently, his recruiting's been awful. He's coming off 2 losing seasons in a row. This is actually 3 losing seasons in a row for Auburn, which is just ridiculous given the talent they have down there. And Hugh is busy out on the golf course and not worrying about recruiting, and it's kind of a disaster right now, which, look, it's still early, but it's not as early as you think anymore. Pretty much National Signing Day's in December now, not in February, so most of the best players are going to be either already committed or they're going to commit over the next couple of weeks, and he's out there working on his golf game, which needs some work. I've seen his swing. But let's take a look where they are currently with recruiting. All right, they just picked up a player, so they've got 7 now. They're up to number 84. That's right, Auburn's at 84 with an 89 average, which if this was like 92 or 93, I'd be like, well, at least they're getting some super high quality guys. They got 5 3-stars out of 7, and it has not gone unnoticed down there in Auburn land. They're very aware of it, and they're getting ticked off. And everybody all over the country that covers sports has noticed it too. And one of the members of Auburn Line message board, he said, Hugh played 10 of the first 20 days of this month. He said, I know people that are retired that don't get to play that much, let alone making $7 million a year. Not blaming our struggles on this, but when you're under 500 and ranked, well, they were ranked 47th in recruiting. They're actually now 84th. So it's actually gotten worse. He said, I have concerns. I also know for a fact he played the day after we lost to Vanderbilt. Now let's take a look at his swing while we're at it. This will just be a few seconds. And you would think a guy that plays a lot of golf probably have a pretty good swing, but let's see how he swings it. Takes it back, and let's see. Oh, no, that's terrible. Then way across the line, lunges forward. Now he's in trouble. Then he throws his hands over the top, and whoop, going to hit a little slice out there. That's not a very good swing for a man that swings a lot and plays a lot. But here's the thing about golf. No matter how bad your swing might be, if you can repeat it over and over, you can score if you play enough golf and have enough hand-eye coordination. So as much as he's playing, he probably can score a little bit. Now, it's getting out of hand when Nick Roush of Kentucky Sports Radio notices it. Said Auburn's Hugh played golf 10 times in the first 20 days of June. Not Mark Stoops. He's too motivated to be spending time on the links. Now, as you know, Nick is one of our favorites down here in Tennessee, and he's not happy with how things have gone with Kentucky versus the Vols. But look, Stoops went 4-8 last year, and let's see how their recruiting's going. Yeah, 51st in the country with 14 commits. They have 2 4-stars and 12 3-stars with an 87.6 average. That's not going to get it done. You're in the SEC. If you were in the Big 12, maybe you'd be okay. In the SEC, you can't your blue chip ratio's terrible. And look, it's real easy to sit here and give Mark Stoops grief. But the reality is, not only is Kentucky a basketball school, basketball rules the roost all year long. It doesn't matter when it is.
We're going to get some shit straight. But since you do exist, and I'm going to be the head of the household, and you're going to learn to live by my rules. The first rule is, you don't speak unless you're spoken to. You got me? And you stay the hell out of my way.
Yeah, I don't think Stoops gets treated too well up there at Kentucky. Now, he gets a nice paycheck, but when it comes to money for players, he wound up having to go out and get a 3-star, 300th ranked transfer guy to be a starting quarterback, which is the most important position on the field. And during that time in the winter, there were 30 guys out there that were 4-star or better. Now, you had to come up with some money, though. Instead, they went the cheap route. Now, they went and got Zach Calzada.
Who?
Look, maybe he turns out to be a good quarterback. I don't know. But you usually try to give yourself the best chance. And the higher the rating, more likely he's going to be good. So, yeah, even Kentucky's getting on you, Auburn. That's just how it is. Now, let's talk to the Tennessee folks here a little bit. Look, we've already lost Nico this year, and we didn't see that coming. And I blame myself a little bit for that, for not warning you folks that this could come. and taken a little bit more seriously. I just never dreamed he'd be stupid enough to leave in the spring portal, which is the worst time to leave as a quarterback. All the other teams have already filled that position. So he takes a 50% pay cut and goes out to UCLA, where he's going to be surrounded by 3 stars instead of 4 and 5 stars here at Tennessee, and goes to the 118th ranked offense. Congratulations on that move. But anyway, it left us in a lurch, and we wound up taking UCLA's quarterback, which is Joey Aguilar. We don't know if he's going to be any good or not. He might be. Maybe he's our next Hendon Hooker, but he was rated a 3-star as well. Now, had we had our opportunity in the wintertime, we'd have probably gone after a John Mateer or somebody like that, and we would have, got a guy with a ton of Power 4 experience. Joey has a ton of experience, but it's not at the Power 4 level. So, look, we just don't know. We're kind of in a weird spot here. But I don't want to get caught like that again, especially when it comes to coaches. Now, we've already got Oklahoma salivating over there trying to pick up Josh Heupel if Brent Venables fails this year and they wind up having to buy him out.
If Venables does indeed get fired, and I'm not saying that's this year, would you ever expect Oklahoma to just write Josh Heupel a blank check to return to Norman?
He'd be the first call, I assume.
See, if Brent Venables fails, that means Oklahoma will need a new head coach. And who's a head coach that's hot right now that has ties to the University of Oklahoma? Y'all know who I'm talking about. Your big boy Josh. We love Josh Heupel. All week we've seen clips from 2000 and people putting up interviews from the old college game days back then. That's how long college game days been, even longer than that. But Josh Heupel was a hero. He was a god here in Oklahoma.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a fact. He would be their first phone call. And they want him. Look, they won a national title with Josh Heupel. He was runner-up for the Heisman. They have very fond memories of him. Matter of fact, last national title they won was with Josh Heupel. But Brent Venables is owed a ton of money, so that might end up being a bit of a saving grace. But I don't want to have to get into a bidding war with Oklahoma because they got plenty of money too. Now, when it comes to Auburn, Auburn's only going to owe Hugh Freeze $13 million after this season, and there's already talk that Josh Heupel would be high on their list. And if you don't think he would be, I'll show you folks are already talking about it. They've had a ton of success picking up Bruce Pearl, one of our former head coaches, and darn near won a natty with him once or twice. So they have no problem picking up a former or a current Tennessee head coach. But out in the social media world, people are already talking about it. And here's somebody already stirring the pot. It said Auburn's head coach Hugh Freeze likely to step down as head coach of the Tigers. Auburn already has its eyes set on their next head coach. They're expected to offer Tennessee's head coach Josh Heupel $12.5 million annually. This would make Heupel the highest paid coach in football. Well, actually, it wouldn't. Kirby Smart makes $13 million per year. But people are already talking about it down in Alabama that Auburn's going to try to go after Josh Heupel. And that would make a lot of sense. If you think about what he's done here, in the last 3 years, Tennessee's won 30 games. 30. You know how many games they won prior to Josh Heupel? The 3 years prior to Heupel showing up? Take a wild guess. 15. Half as many. We averaged 5 wins a year for the 3 years prior to Josh Heupel. And you know what was before Jeremy Pruitt, who was that 15 wins. Wasn't much better. So averaging 10 wins a year is pretty darn good. And don't think other teams have not taken notice. Absolutely they have. And Auburn's already eyeing Josh Heupel as a possibility. And look, they don't have any problem spending $13 million to get rid of a coach. They spent more to get rid of Gus Malzahn, and they spent more to get rid of Brian Harsin. So $13 million's not that big a deal to them. And here's the thing. The only way Josh leaves is if somebody were to throw some stupid amount of money at him, which we can match a lot of that. But the other thing would be if we had a down year and the Tennessee fan base got down on him for some reason. Instead of looking at the situation, look, we'll probably win 8 games this year, maybe 9, something like that. Best case scenario is probably 10. But if we won 6 or 7, I could see our fan base a portion of them being foolish enough to blame that solely on Josh Heupel. And that would be the opportunity for an Auburn to come in and say, oh, they're not treating you very good. Oh, they blame you for Nico. You only won 6-7 games this year. Oh, boy, we'd love to have you down at Auburn. We'd love to average 10 wins a year. That'd be great. And, oh, by the way, haven't you beaten Alabama 2 out of the last 3 years? Yeah, we'd like that kind of too down here at Auburn.
I'm sorry, babe. I didn't mean that either. I just yell sometimes because I get so scared. I want to kiss you all over and over and again till the night closes in. Till the night closes in.
So anybody that can beat Alabama, they're going to be interested in. And Hugh was brought into Auburn because he had that gift, supposedly. Hadn't been going so well for him ever since. He might have had a little secret of why he was so good down there at Ole Miss. That's what got him fired. So maybe Hugh's not as good as I think he is. I thought he was a pretty good coach, but he may not be that good. And he may not make it past this year. He did go out and get, Jackson Arnold, who, I don't know. Maybe they think, well, Jackson Arnold was at Oklahoma when they beat Alabama. I mean, everything's about beating Alabama at Auburn. Let's just get that straight.
Alabama!
But I'm not about to let them sneak up on Heupel, and I'm not going to let the fan base get down on him if things don't go right. And again, we may be fine. I think our defense will be really good this year. And Joey Aguilar, might be just fine. He might come out and do a Hendon Hooker 2.0 and light it up. Because here's the thing. He's going to get wide receivers opened. Josh Heupel schemes people open. Had Nico hit the deep ball last year, he would have had crazy numbers. He missed 4 wide open receivers for touchdowns, wide open touchdowns against Alabama. That's just a fact. Even Kangaroo Black was like, geez, so our defense, what are we doing? That's Josh Heupel scheming. But Nico overthrew him every time. And it was really a shame. Maybe over time he'll get rid of that. You know, he just probably was too amped up. But Hendon Hooker didn't miss him. He had 5 touchdowns in that one game against Bama. And that's when we beat dadgum Bryce Young, the magician. How he won that game over Bryce. Bryce deserved to win that ball game. It was an MVP performance. And he had a bum shoulder, and we hit him 100 times. And he would just, every time we had him nailed, he would poof and appear 5 yards away and throw a touchdown. It was probably one of the most amazing performances I've ever seen. The only thing that was better was Jalen Hyatt and Hendon Hooker combining. It was just crazy. But all of those guys being wide open, that's because Josh Heupel knows how to scheme an offense. He just went to the running game last year because he was concerned that Nico was overthrowing and he was getting strip sacked. He wasn't being secure with the ball, so he's like, I better run the ball a little bit more. And Nico might have improved a lot this year. I was expecting him to, but look, he's out at UCLA now. It doesn't really matter. But Auburn, if you think you're going to sneak up here and get another Tennessee coach and have a ton of success like you have with Bruce Pearl, now granted, he didn't take Bruce from us. That was a unique situation. Bruce was coming off a show cause over a barbecued sandwich. He lied about a barbecue sandwich. They gave him a 3-year show cause. Michigan's up there cheating for 2.5 years, stealing everybody's signs, sending them to everybody else.
Allegedly.
South Carolina. And they haven't done anything to them yet. We'll see what they do. Maybe they'll hammer them out. Who knows? It's 2025. They may slap them on the wrist. Say, oh, well, give us $100, fine, and you can hire back Connor Stallions as your analyst.
The sign stealer guy.
No, it won't be that. But anyway, you get the frustration out there with people. But Auburn, don't think you're going to get a second Tennessee coach. You're not going to.
It's not going to happen.
Forget it. But anyway, I did want to make you aware of that. There is a scenario. Now, I understand Oklahoma being this way, but Auburn, you can forget it. I know you may be looking for a coach. You probably will be after this year. If he keeps on playing golf and not recruiting, it's going to be an issue. But anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, 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 hit that little button right there. Won't cost you a dime. Help you get my videos. And right over here is the most recent video. YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.
He's a Cinderella boy, tears in his eyes, I guess, as he lines up this last shot. He's got about 195 yards left, and looks like he's got about an 8.